Really, we can't just focus on spreadsheets and numbers. We're talking about getting a feel for China's social fabric, how it's woven together, cultural shifts, those internal pressures, the global stage. It's all kind of colliding right now. It's a big moment for them.
No doubt. We've all heard about their economic slowdown, right?
Mm.
But get this, you dig a little deeper and you find these real estate bubbles, like ready to burst. Then there's this shrinking workforce, and hold on, there's even this silent rebellion kind of brewing among young folks.
Let's break that down a bit. Take that real estate thing. It's not some isolated incident. It's a symptom of a bigger issue, a population that's actually declining.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, those decades of that one-child policy are having a real impact now. The workforce is aging, and there's a serious lack of any safety nets socially.
And a shrinking workforce. I mean, isn't China like the manufacturing powerhouse of, well, everything? How are they supposed to keep that up with fewer and fewer workers?
Million-dollar question, right? Imagine this. By the century's end, some experts predict China's population could be cut in half. Yeah, and that's going to hit their manufacturing dominance hard.
Wow. Okay, now you got to tell me more about this whole silent rebellion thing. That's caught my attention.
Okay, so picture yourself as a young person in China right now. You're constantly told to work hard, climb that ladder, be successful in this crazy competitive job market. But here's the thing, the opportunities just aren't matching up to all that pressure. And the work culture itself, intense is an understatement. And this has fueled a movement, they call it Tangping.
Tangping. What's that?
Basically, it translates to, like, lying flat. It's this quiet resignation. They're rejecting that whole climb the ladder mentality, choosing a simpler life, even if it means less stuff, fewer material possessions.
So it's deeper than just wanting a break. It's like pushing back against the entire system.
You got it. And it's sending shockwaves through their economy. Consumer confidence is down. People aren't spending as much. To really get this, though, we need to rewind a bit. Look at the history, the context of how they got here.
So we've got these strict family planning policies casting a long shadow, a job market that's, well, cutthroat, to say the least, and now this whole lie flat movement. It really paints a picture of what young people in China are up against, huh?
It does. And it creates this strange paradox, don't you think? I mean, China's economic success, it's been built on this massive, dedicated workforce. But now that workforce is shrinking.
Yeah, you're right.
Fewer people, and now with Tangping, maybe less drive, too.
Like the system's buckling under its own weight.
Maybe. And all this is happening as the pressure's building from outside, too. Global stage, especially how they're dealing with Russia.
Right. Everyone's talking about this new Iron Alliance thing. China and Russia, are we looking at Cold War 2.0?
It's definitely something to keep an eye on. Remember that photo of Xi Jinping, like, embracing Putin? That was strategic, a message. But like we were saying about China's internal stuff, this alliance, well, it's complicated.
Not as simple as China and Russia versus everyone else.
Exactly. China benefits from having Russia's energy resources, of course, especially with the West coming down with those sanctions. But they're not going to jump into a sinking ship either.
Makes sense. Got to protect themselves.
Yeah, they're walking a tightrope, global ambitions, challenging the U.S., all that. But they know decoupling from the West completely, that'd be a disaster for their economy. That trade relationship with the U.S. and Europe, still huge for them.
Talk about a balancing act. So how does this Tangping thing play into all that on the world stage? I mean, could a less ambitious workforce mean a less aggressive foreign policy?
That is the question, isn't it? A disengaged workforce might make China less keen on military stuff, less willing to bankroll long conflicts, too. And that could give other countries a chance to step up. Manufacturing, global trade could really shake things up. Definitely something to consider as we try to figure out what China's going to do next.
It's wild, right? Like watching China trying to juggle these internal struggles with their big global goals makes you wonder, if this generation isn't playing by the same rules, can they really keep growing like they have been?
It's the big question, isn't it? If this whole Tangping thing is any indication, seems like that old growth at all costs strategy might need a rethink. And that's going to have consequences, not just in China, but globally.
So where does that leave us? What's a takeaway for someone listening to all this, trying to make sense of it?
That's what matters, right? We talk about this but what's happening in China right now, it's not just some abstract idea. This economic uncertainty, the social shifts, the whole geopolitical game, it's all going to have ripple effects way beyond China.
So don't just read the headlines. Got to understand what's shaping the world, right?
Yeah.
But with all this going on, what's the one thing you want our listener to walk away with?
Here's something to think about. While China's dealing with all this pressure, internal and external, it creates a kind of vacuum. And that vacuum, it's ripe for new ideas, new leaders, maybe even a whole new world order. How that vacuum gets filled and by who, that's something you, listening right now, should be paying attention to, because the decisions being made right now in China and everywhere else, they're going to shape the world for a long time to come.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into China's, well, everything. Hopefully you've gotten a new perspective on what's really going on behind those crazy headlines.
Remember, the real insights come from digging deeper, questioning what you think you know, and accepting that our world, it's complicated, and that's okay.